Good evening and welcome to A Melanin Mother's Love. The goal here is to ensure we start to tell their story. And I just want to be clear before we even get started. Every single mother on this planet is important. Every single woman on this planet is important. We are here to support each other, build each other up, and never tear each other down. And I think that the goal of this podcast is to give women and men who have honestly touched my life over the last few years an opportunity to take this platform and tell their story. So if you are willing to take this journey with us, I am so grateful. We are so blessed, and let's tap in and tell their story. All right, everyone, welcome back to A Melanin Mother's Love. I am so excited to have one of my closest sisters here with us today. Her name is Anette Nance. I'm going to give her all the time in the world to introduce herself and just run her resume. But before I let her do that, I have to tell you, this woman is a powerful woman of God, an amazing wife, a phenomenal mother, and the list goes on. So without further ado, Miss Anette Nance, how are you doing?
I am doing well. Thank you again for having me be a part of the podcast and be able to just tell my story. I guess this is when I talk about myself a little bit before we get into the questions. So, like she said, I'm a woman of God. I am a wife. I am a mom to a toddler. I am a graduate student. I'll be going for my doctorate in community engagement at Point Park University. But prior to that, I received my associate from the University of Phoenix in General Studies, my bachelor's from Ashford University in psychology, and my master's in social work with a concentration in community organization and social action from the University of Pittsburgh this past August 2020. And so I'm just thankful to just continue to learn because it's allowed me to really get a deep dive into the other areas of my life. Community organizing, which, you continue to learn with all the things that you do. I handle the outreach for our ministry. We have a couple of programs that we have grown in the past year related to birthdays for the kids. They get birthday bags. We have a food ministry that we've been able to help many families from the different community partnerships and exceedingly and abundant donations, and being a part of different government programs as well with produce boxes, and really using the skills in social work to continue to grow programs with program development, program project management, really just paying attention to the community's needs. And we've been able to do so many great things that I'm just really thankful to really continue to use my skills. I think I'm not really sure who said this quote, but it always talks about utilizing all the gifts that you have, because when it comes that day that you are standing in front of God, you want to be able to say, Lord, I've used all my gifts and I have been a faithful servant to everything that you have gifted me. And I pray that when that day comes, that I have utilized all the gifts to help God's people to continue to do work in the community in a way that he sees fit, in a way that blesses others and increases their life.
Your credentials are out of this world. I mean, if you were not inspired listening to this woman accomplish all of these amazing things in her life, I'm gonna need you to get inspired. Not only is she just taking every opportunity to fill that resume up, but she is still an amazing wife. Like I said before, her son is the cutest little human I've ever met, and this community is so much better because of her. And I know a lot of that has to do with, if I don't misspeak, it has to do a little bit with your upbringing, correct, Miss Annette?
Yeah. So my mom is from Haiti, and she is very, she was very strict. But now that I look back on it, I'm thankful that she was strict. I'm thankful that the values that she brought from home and that she continued to remind me where did she come from and how we were able to come to the U.S. and the amenities and resources that we have, we shouldn't take advantage of. Because I always remember her saying, I didn't come to this country for you guys to be, X, Y, Z, insert whatever word you like. But when you grow up in a Haitian home, it's the 3 L's, which is in Creole is l'école, la caille, l'église, which just means school, home, and church. Like these are the 3 L's in Creole that you're going to go through. These are the things that that's your foundation. You don't go nowhere else. Period. That's it.
I know that's right. Well, I mean, you said that she was strict. I know that it's really hard to be strict with your son. What is it like raising him, being, reminding yourself of like how it was with your mom? What things did you transfer over to raising your son?
I think the biggest thing I always take away from my mom is that she always showed us love. She always, no matter what it was, like when people say the saying like, I give the shirt off my back to you. I know my mom would probably give the shirt, shoes, socks, everything, and she would freeze just so we could be okay. Because my mom worked multiple jobs while we were in school, and there were sometimes she was not there, but she always made sure we were taken care of. And so I take that love and give to my son in the sense of the things I may not have grown up with, that I know that he is getting an abundance of it because we are ensuring that he will be well. Because the word reminds us that our children's children will benefit of our legacy. And so I have to ensure that I'm preparing my child so he can prepare his children and continue to walk in what God is blessing them with. And also having my husband coming from his family and his love that he has is really helping with motherhood. It's making it not feel, I don't want to say easy, because I don't think it's ever easy. I think it's always going to continue to be work, because it is an action no matter how you see it.
Wow. I think that's beautiful. Just the generational part, because I think just our generation alone, like just being raised by a single mother. So I was, like you, raised by a single mother, but then wanting to ensure this next generation has what we didn't have, right? So we want to make sure they benefit from, the fruits of our labor, if you will. And then having your husband there to support you through that, I think that's a beautiful thing. And you mentioned that your mother worked multiple jobs. Like, I can't even imagine what that was like for you, knowing that you had to pretty much take care of the household to take in the times that she wasn't there, right?
Yeah, and it's crazy to think about it. Like, now as I think of just what kids go through with a little bit of the work that I did during grad school, and working in these neighborhoods that are predominantly Black, which may have low resources sometimes due to, the lack of a lot of things, from historical trauma, lack of the financial resources and things of that nature. The neighborhoods we lived in were maybe not always the greatest, but we made use of what we could.
Right.
And so I think of just how in the world did my mom do it? Like, how in the world was I able to make sure that, my mind was good, or
right.
that I wasn't like, yeah, everybody has their moments. Like, I wasn't the kid every Christmas that had the brand new J's or that had brand new anything, but I knew I was able to know that my mom was working on the holidays because it was for us to be able to have what we have now.
Right.
And, when I see other kids going through that same, like, my mom working XYZ, or they have this, I just think of, it's like I see myself a little bit, because I know what my mom had to do, and now being a mom, I'm like, okay, it was sacrifice,
right.
But it was sacrifice for a greater good, like a greater goal. The end goal was in mind. And, when you're a mom, you're like, I want my kids to have these things that I did not have so they can be better. And if that means you got to work the 7 to 3, to 3 to 11, then the 7 to 7, you're going to get it done.
Right.
And I know that's what my mom did many times.
That's amazing. You said the key word, like something I really want to continue to do every episode, every chance we get, is to drop a golden nugget. And I think you hit the nail on the head with the word sacrifice. Just as parents, and I don't only want to single out mothers, because I know that there's some single fathers out there. I know there's joint families, mixed homes. I don't want to leave anyone out because everyone is important. But the word sacrifice means so much. The weight of it, there's no monetary value to what sacrifice looks like. And a lot of people make these statements. It wasn't until I held my baby and saw him for the first time that I knew what love was. And I'm grateful that your mother showed you her version of sacrifice. And I'm grateful that you're able to pass that, your version of love over to your son. And then you show the community sacrifice. I've seen you in action on many occasions where you are busting your behind, the natural hairs popping out, the sweat's coming out your scalp, but you are letting them know, I'm willing to do this for my community, because when that day comes, like you said before, God, I've used every gift that you gave me. What? Please let me in. I'm knocking. So,
yeah, I mean, it's really, I think we start to think of sacrifice and you're like, that's such a negative word. But in the end, when you want to get a scholarship or when you want to get into college, and these kids who are these young adults who are filling out these scholarship forms or college applications, you're going to spend hours doing that because you want to make sure that you write the perfect essay, or you fill it out right, or you dot your I's, cross your T's. You want to do all those things. That's not going to happen in 10 minutes. That means you're going to have to say, hey friends, I'll see y'all later. I have to for social media, I got to unplug so I can make sure that I'm focused on this. Or if I have to take a test, I have to study a bit more, so I have to isolate. I mean, if we think about how, even in the Word, when Jesus woke up early in the morning, isolation was to pray, to really start to get the day going. And prayer is powerful.
Yes.
And so when you think of the things that you have to do, when you are like laser focused in your isolation, you are really accomplishing a lot. So when you think of just, not saying that, as a mom, I have my moments where I have to get laser focused on maybe a project I'm going to submit or community work, but I have my husband who will then take over and just, he'll have you bander for a certain amount of time. And I was just like, I have to and do this. And that means I won't post as much. All these things will contribute to the sacrifice that I'm doing to make a better product. And even the moments where I'm like, I wish I could have a weekend sometimes where, I'm just doing nothing, or a weekend where, maybe just, go do something that's even more relaxing. But community work for me is my self-care. Right. Because like I said before, I want to use these gifts. It's like you can't continue to complain about things and they remain the same if you don't get in and do the work.
Right. Wow. Listen, when I tell you, you are, listen, if you all do not know, Miss Anette Nance is a professional life coach. Okay. So y'all are getting some stuff for free that she should be charging y'all for. So tell her thank you. Okay. I'm just going to put that out there, but we're going to wrap this up, and only because I want us to take this last moment to edify anyone out there who may feel like they need an encouraging word. So Miss Anette Nance, if you could close us out with an encouraging word, we would greatly appreciate that.
I think the biggest thing I want to say to, whomever is listening to the sound of my voice at this time and just thinking about all the things that you've done, and really take inventory. Take inventory and tell yourself, I'm proud of you. Or even think about, writing every single thing down that you've done, and then think about what things will look like in a year for the things that you're doing. Don't mind about being in a pandemic. Don't mind about all the things you've lost. Think about where, God is going to position you for next year. Write it all down. Put it in an envelope. Seal it up. Put a reminder in your phone. Wear that letter, however it is, wherever that thing is. And in that year, look at this thing to see all the things that you can accomplish, because you can do it. All you need is to be disciplined. You need to just stay focused and really strengthen your foundation. And that's all I have.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Miss Anette. And for all of Yes, thank you to everyone listening. Again, Aisha G here. I am so grateful. We are so blessed. And thank you for listening to A Melanin Mother's Love.